When it comes to finding the best base for a solo player in Dune Awakening, we need to understand what the most important ingredient is for any player, whether you're a guild or solo. And it isn't spice, not in Haggar Basin at least. But the most important ingredient in Haggar Basin is going to be water. It is really important to note that this being prime real estate, it is going to be stolen, taken, fought after, argued about, and may not always be the case, as they may change it. But with the new servers coming online, you might just want to try rush this spot. Water is going to be the gatekeeper into how quickly you can progress, build up your base, and get into deep desert. Now, if you don't believe me, let's just kick some numbers here. So if you want to get an assault ornithopter, we're going to need roughly 5,800 just to produce it. But where things get absolutely scary is when we look at how much it's going to cost in terms of generating the ingots required. So how much water will you need just for the ingots? 251,000 water. But how much water will it take to get the ingots for the aluminium? Well, we need another roughly 100,000 water. And when you add that all up together, you're looking at easily over 350,000 waters. It's really hard to quantify just how much water that is, particularly because the tools at the time in obtaining water for most players in this part of the game will be your wind traps. And you'll have your tiny little Dew Reaper. The wind trap has a measly water rate of 0.75 units per second, which will give you 2,700 milliliters of water every hour. That is going to take you a whopping 130 hours of non-stop production if you only have one, which is a crazy amount of time. So obviously you're building a few of these, but even still, it's going to take a long time. Now let me give you an example of how we can go from earning next to no water to nearly 50 to 100,000 milliliters of water every hour without building anything. And that is all due to this best location within the Haggar Basin region. Here in this location beholds pretty much the most condensed amount of the water leaf plants. These are the desert adapted flora that you can harvest for small amounts of water. They're an absolute critical survival resource within Dune Awakening. However, we can extract more and more from these plants as we tier up our Dew Reaper. And combining that and this location of the most bountiful amount of water from plants, you can see here we go from next to no water from one harvest using the Mark IV Industrial Dew Scythe and having unlocked level 2 of our Dew Gathering as we've unlocked Planetologist, and then harvesting at night in the most optimal time just before dawn, where if we press T, we can see the time, and as the timer ticks into the blue zone, we can spend that time harvesting anywhere from 20 to 100,000 milliliters of water every hour, depending on where you're up to within the cycle, what gear, and everything you have. And this location also offers so much more. And where is this crazy location? Well, from Haggar Basin south, there's the Western Vermilius Gap. And if we keep scrolling up, we enter Jabal Ifrit. And the location in question is this rock formation right here. Not only is this location the best spot for water, but it is actually one of the best locations in the map. And that is because it is so centrally positioned with easy access to all regions and resources. So to really drive it home, this location here, prime real estate, you could probably extend that circle further and sort of go around this area being the prime real estate. And I really want to drive it home why this is so potent, as if we fly out of the base and we just go 1 minute away, we will find a multitude of the iron nodes, and you'll have such a plentiful bounty of it right here in this area next to these mining facilities. And this is going to be some of the richest areas you'll find this amount of deposits, as you can see down right here. Now, what else do we need to make steel? Well, we need lots and lots of carbon. Where are we going to find carbon? Well, looking at the base, we can see carbon right around it everywhere, including copper, granite, and basalt, all within this little area here. Now, if we want aluminium, we have to go 1 minute in the direction of this area, and just skipping ahead to right here. If we look around, there's the base right there. Here you start your journey of going through this area to find aluminium. But what about erythrite to make cobalt? Well, that is just down the road as well. As you can see, our base is directly in front of us. Everything is within a few minutes drive, bar one. And that is going to be the highest tier resource we have in Seoul. However, it's still an excellent location for it, as to get there, you would simply follow one of the 2 entry points to this area, which is following this spine. The only other entries are these here, but then if you're building a base around here just for that resource, you still have to go and pick up aluminium. And the reason I'm going through this in a bit of detail of its location is that there's a good chance you're not going to get this spot. but building anywhere along here is going to be very advantageous for any solo player who's looking to cut time and be close to all the best resources very, very quickly. So don't lose hope if the water has been taken. I will be making another video with some other superb spots that also have quite a lot of water. But this is by far the best location in all of Haggar Basin. And we're still not even through all the best reasons. Now, the other reason this is the best spot is if you do get this early and there's not many people around, well, there is actually another huge, if not the second biggest water deposit right next to you. This spot here pretty much has the second most amount of water within one little vicinity, which will yield anywhere from 30 to 80,000 milliliters per hour, depending on the variables that impact your water collection, like planetology and equipment and the tier of Dew Reaper. Between these two, you're looking at over 150k, depending on a few variables, of water that you can get every hour. That kind of level production will be unmatched until later game, until you can get a ton of the advanced Fremen depth stills, which require tremendous amount of power. And there's even more reasons to why this space is so phenomenal early on. The other reason has to do with the location being nested in between a large rock formation where you would not even need to build any kind of shields to protect your vehicles. The reason this is so potent is because you can save on a lot of resources as well as power by not building any penta shields. You also skip the need to build wind turbines, wind traps, which allows you to completely skip almost a tier, allowing you to get an ornithopter within the first 24 hours. I'd argue it'd be very hard to beat this kind of speed with this, but let me know in the comments what you think. Another reason that makes this spot so special is you can just jump outside your base, pull up, and get some water dropped via some corpses for your depth still suits. This happens every hour. The excellent thing is it only scans one side of the base, which pretty much will never impact you at all. You'll have to come out of your base, trigger the Chome mercenaries to get dropped, but really you can think of it as like rain and water being dropped from the sky, as we are going to turn these guys into corpses for our death still suit. So 4 bodies every hour. And in case you didn't know, a death still suit allows us to process the blood of our enemies into water. Each of the advanced death still suits providing 45,000 milliliters every hour, but it does require a corpse. Now there is so much more to go through why this is such a potent spot. And some of this includes the fact that it saves you so much intel points because you don't have to purchase so many of the other things that are generally required. But overall, to utilize this spot, you do need quite advanced knowledge and understanding of the game. And hopefully over time, this channel will provide that kind of info. Now, unfortunately, there's going to be a good chance that the person who built their base here has blocked it off to the public. However, sometimes you will get nice guys like me that keep it open for everyone. But as a solo player, this is one way we can get ahead very quickly. Now, if you do unfortunately have someone who's blocked it off, there's nothing you can do about it. There's going to be plenty of that sort of stuff happening where people block entryways to certain locations, and it's just going to be a bit of a nightmare. So something to get used to and to consider, but just worth noting that that could be a real possibility. Now, what I also wanted to show you is that there is still plenty of water in this area. So as we go along, you'll see all these little spots here, as well as lots of little nodes of all the various resources. But what's excellent about this spot is that you constantly get ships crashing, which have a lot of excellent resources. But just going back to the water, there is quite a lot of deposits within this region, so there will be no shortage of water when you're doing the manual harvesting. There is so much around here. There you have it. That's my take on the very best location for a solo player, technically a guild as well, at least for the mid-game, and all of Haggar Basin. Let me know your thoughts, what you think. What are other great locations? What are some other water-rich areas? Thanks so much for your time. Peace.